Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name's Dennis. Today we're going to do an unboxing and review of Fractal North. I think they actually call it Fractal Design North. And it's not the tempered glass version, it is the mesh side panel. I thought that would be better for airflow. And tempered glass is something I've had for a while. But I thought something a little bit different might maybe appeal to more people. So we're going to get it out of the box and we're going to have a look at it. Here we go. Okay, so this is the case. Now, Fractal Design, of course, has got lots of computer cases, but they call it the Fractal North computer case. Okay, we're going to get it out of the box. It's a big sucker. This is the black mesh. It does also come with white, and like I say, it has mesh side panels, tempered glass, and maybe there's another one too. If there is, I will put it in the video when you while you're watching this. All right, so not much to look at on the box itself, so let's just get it open. Okay, and let's finish up here. So I'm going to get it out of the box. One thing I always like to do first though is just give it a bit of a tip and have a look at the packaging. So it's got the kind of a wood design to it to show off the way the front of the case looks. It's got the nice white, it's like a styrofoam, but not. It's not the stuff that goes all over the place, but it holds it well, keeps its shape, and prevents damage. So let's get it out of the box. I'm just going to tip it upside down. We'll come back. So I took it out of the box. The first thing I noticed is it has a big box on the top, which is all your accessories. So we're going to have a quick look at that and see what we all get. So it's not as much as I was thinking. Okay, we got a couple of screws here. And what else do we got? So, what is this? Kind of cool. I'm not exactly sure. we're gonna have to figure that out. All right, so stay tuned. What else is in the box of accessories? That's it. That's all that's in there. All right, so that pretty much takes care of our unboxing for the most part, because now we're just going to take this styrofoam off and we're going to start going over the case. So after getting the styrofoam off of both sides, we've got this in here, and of course it's your Fractal North user guide. All right, so it's going to tell me what our little mesh grate thing is. If not, well, I'll have to look it up. Okay, and on there they have your support numbers if you have questions or you want to make comments. And in here is everything you want to know about their case. So if you have questions, you want to know where that goes, it's all in here. All right, no problem. So let's stand this up. We'll get this off here. And you know what? For the first time, normally I go a different route, but this time we're going to start at the bottom, just because. So what do I notice first? First, these feet are pretty spectacular looking. I love the gold, I love the rubber. You have a filter here, just pulls out. And it's in there pretty tight, so it's not coming out unless you're trying to take it out. Pop back in place. You have some ventilation, it looks like here. We'll have a better look at that in a little bit. And so let's stand it up, get the plastic off, and we'll continue. So now let's just start right at the back. We have 7 PCIe slots, your opening for your I/O shield, and some ventilation here, which I really like how they've done this. I've never done a Fractal case except for a very cheap one years ago. And so this is very impressive to me. Power supply just has 2 screws, just undo that, and then it's going to slide in. And your side panels, just 2 adaptive screws probably, and you just pull this one off, and we'll see how this one comes off for the mesh. Speaking of which, let's take this off first. It's probably going to need a screwdriver because they're in there really tight. But I want to point out this. This is like a brown rubber. What's really cool is you just pull on this a little bit, it disengages the top. So your mesh panel here, that's pretty sweet. Talk about easy on, easy off. And yeah, I really like that. We'll get to the top later, but yeah, like I say, let's take this off first. Okay, so loosen this up. This one here. And then we just pull. And of course, nice solid panel. All right, there's nothing for sound dampening, but that's not what this case is about anyway. And so let's have a look at this side then first. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. But we have, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4 for fans. So you got 4 fan headers right here. So if you happen to have a motherboard that doesn't have many fan headers, it's got you covered. I love the cabling on here. All right, it just goes inside. We'll have 2 brackets down here for 3.5-inch drives, and room for your power supply. I think I would probably take this one out just to give myself more room. And anyway, let's get this out of here and have a quick look at the cables. Like I say, I sometimes do this a different route. I'm going a different way this time. So we have our fan connectors, all that kind of good stuff. We have our USB 3.0. This is your HD audio. Your USB-C, which I always like to see. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I like what I'm seeing. And of course, it's going to have all your connectors for your front panels. Power, PLED, positive, negative. And yeah, that pretty much covers it. Alright, now I want to have a look at this. If you want to take this off, I'm going to get in here nice and close so you can see that. So we'll tuck these cables back in. Your hard drive, like I say, is down here. It's even angled. You don't always see that with a lot of cases. That's a little extra thought they put into it. So when you put your screwdriver in, it's at the proper angle. Makes it much easier to take that out. All right, so we're going to tuck these cables back out of the way. And we have another thing here for accessories. We're going to have to see where this all comes out. Let's have a look here. I'm guessing I have to cut this, but I don't like cutting things unless I know for sure. So we're going to get to that last. That's another box of accessories. It's going to be your screws, tie downs, all that kind of good stuff. Anyway, on the back of this, you have lots of room for your tie downs. Okay, you have a couple here, more on the side, and you have room here for an SSD, which of course is going to unscrew from here. And yeah, I'm going to take that off because I don't want to see what, if anything, might be behind it. Let's have a look. No, okay, so it has 2 little divots here that go in here, and it fastens here. So I don't think you would want to go without it. You could, maybe if you want to feed a cable, whatever like that. But otherwise, you just slide it back in there, line that up, and screw it back on. Simple. So, like I say, you've got your 4 fan headers up here, and yeah, pretty simple. I love the way the cables are. All right, we've seen the back. Let's get this side off. First, let's have a really good look at this. So, our mesh goes all the way to the top, to the bottom, up until about here, and the rest is just steel. All right, let's loosen this off. How does it come off? Let's see here. Pop off. Oh, there's a little knob right here. It just pulls out, just kind of like the other ones. Just pull that out. You know, this is attention to detail I don't see in a lot of cases. And I'm really happy to see that. So on the inside, we've got more panels all set aside. Just, if you can't appreciate that, I don't know. You need to have other cases. You need to have other cases in order to truly appreciate what they've done here. So you've got a power supply shroud. You have openings in here to route your cables up through. And you have, there's rubber that's fit in place. Again, this is another attention to detail that I think is pretty sweet. Let me move this forward. All right, so I wanted to get in there a little bit better so you can see. You have 2 fans in the front. They look like 140s. I would say we'll get all that out of the way in a minute. The way these grommets are in here, the plastic for the rubber, they're not going to come out as easy when you're putting cables in, I don't think. And I really like the detail that goes into that. You have more openings down here, okay, down here for ventilation, and you have room in the front, of course, for your radiator. And of course, on top as well, we'll get to that in a minute. And you have a nice big opening here. So, and on the top for feeding your CPU. Let's see if I can show that to you. All right. And that's going to give you all the room you would ever need for routing all your cables, everything like that. Now, this is ATX and micro ATX. All right, that's what it's designed for. It's a smaller case, which one of the things I truly like about it. Makes it nice and light. And yeah, there's no real weight to it. But just the design of it just caught my eye. I really, really liked it. But what is the outstanding thing about this? Well, let's get to the front. So that is the thing that caught my eye. Just like a wood finish. And the beauty part is, this comes off super easy. But it's not super easy, so when you're carrying it, it's going to possibly pull away. And that's happened. It's right here in the bottom. Right? So right here, you just put your hand in there and give it a gentle pull. And it just comes out. All right? That is so simple. All right? You can see all the different things. And of course, you have another filter in the front. Right? Which just pop in there. Right? On here. And it'll just pull away. I really like it. Of course, it even tells you, in case you can't figure it out, up. And of course, the bottom would be down. And that is pretty spectacular. They have not provided this case, just in case you're wondering. I am just truly mesmerized by this case. I think it's really, really well done. I think it might be one of the best cases of theirs I've seen. I'm very picky about picking out cases. That's why I haven't done as many as I'd probably like. Because either they meet what I want them to be, or I just don't even bother reviewing them. Okay, yes, these are 140mm fans. And yeah, you could move them up if you wanted to, move them down. There's lots of room. And I'm going to say there's probably room for 3 120s in there as well. So we'll have a look and verify that in a little bit. But I just wanted to show you how everything here is. Have a quick look at the side again. And the other side. And of course the back. Impressive as all heck. This must cut out. Let's find out here in 1 second. Yeah, there's no other way to get at it that I can see. And it is tied. When you put your hand down inside here, you can feel where it's tied in there. So you don't actually have to cut it. You probably could play with that a little bit and get it undone, which, yeah, I may do that. So I was able to untie it, but you can't even pull it out, so I'm not sure what's going on there. I'll figure it out. I'll take this out. Anyway, let's get our little box of accessories. See what we got. How cool is the branding on this? Hey, that's pretty cool branding. I gotta be honest. And actually, I was not a big fan of Fractal cases in the past. So the fact that I'm kind of almost gushing over this speaks pretty highly of it. I love the fact that they do this. All right? So they are telling you what every screw, everything is for. All right? So there's no mistaking what it is that's in this package, which is, again, all your different screws, what everything is for. They've spelled it out on the box. Again, how cool is that? So I want to see if I can find this cable. Yeah, that's in there pretty good. That's amazing, actually. Well, they didn't want you to take that apart. Okay, so to get this out, this might be my first flaw, is I'm going to have to undo this just to get that cable out. Other than maybe if I cut it, but I don't know. I'm not big into cutting things, so I want to take this out anyway. There we go. It should come out pretty simply. And then we have our tray for a 3.5-inch drive or an SSD. Okay, you can see the mounting spots here. All right, and there's our big ass tie for holding everything in. Well, box of accessories. All right, so now what you can do, and what I would suggest, is take this one out as well. It's only in there with one screw. I thought it was two. One screw, move that one over, and that'll give you more room for your power supply. So I'm going to do that. Mostly because I want to know how easily it transitions. Because sometimes you get stuff like that, and it does not easily transition. But look at that, it fits right in place. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to stick you in here. All right, so it sets into each one of these. You just have to put it in place, and something holds it there. I'm not exactly sure what. And you can just move it. And every time you set it down, it locks in place. All right, so there's lots of different places to put it. And of course, that's where I'm going to leave it, is right there. Fasten it back down with my screw, and I'm good. So I'm going to do that right now again. That's it. And now I have a lot more room for my power supply, which I'm going to have quite a monstrous sized power supply going in this. So I'm going to need every bit of room I can get. So let's move on to the top of the case and show you something else that I like. Because I like everything so far. So some of the things I want to go over right now in terms of the case is the length, width, and height case dimensions. So it's 447 by 215 by 466 millimeters. Again, you've got the two drive positions on the bottom for 3.5 or 2.5. You have, now motherboard I missed out. I said it was micro ATX and ATX, but it also is mini ITX. All right. Power supply type is ATX. Front ports, I will show that to you in a bit, but basically it's USB 3.1 Gen 2, Type C .2, and USB 3.0 and audio and mic. Okay, so on the front here, all right, so right here, that's where I mentioned you can have a front radiator up to 360 millimeters and a rear of 120 millimeter. And one thing I didn't point out is they did not supply a fan in the back. Now, I think a lot of the reasons why they do that nowadays is you may want to put your own fan. So you want to put your own choice of RGB fans, or maybe you just have fans sitting around, you want to use them, or maybe you don't think you need it. Right? That's totally up to you and what you want to do. So for the top radiator, which again we're going to get to, it's only a max of 240 millimeter. All right. Again, we're going to get to the top here in a minute. Power supply max length, if you have just one hard drive, is 255, and if you have both, it's 155. All right, so that's where you might want to take one of those cages out like I did, just to give yourself some more room. So dimensions wise, in terms of for your graphics card in here, it's 355 millimeter. All right, your CPU cooler max height, so from your back up to the front as far as you can bring it, is 170 millimeters. All right, so these are all great things to know, and you just have to know what they are. Now, this little bracket that I pointed out here earlier, that's what it is. It's a fan bracket. All right, so I wanted to check this bracket out. They even have slots. It goes all the way down. So you can position it in here. All right, you can slide it down to the middle position. All right, and it's just going to go on like that. And you can go all the way down. So if you want to add extra fans, you can do that. So something you're going to have to keep in mind though, is if you decide to use that. Okay, so when you put it in, all right, it's going to go in just far enough that it's going to cause less room for a CPU cooler. All right, so if you got it up high, you can go to 145 millimeters height. All right, so just keep that in mind. So if you go with the top position, all right, GPU width, including connectors, 178 millimeters. Now, if you go to the middle, it's still 145 for your CPU cooler height, but your GPU with connectors could go down to 148 millimeters if you're using slot 1 and 3. All right, so, and there's 2 screws, don't forget, to fasten this in place. Okay, that's why they give these to you. All right, so don't forget that. But you know what? When's the last time somebody gave you something to put fans on this side of your case if you wanted it? I don't recall ever seeing that from anybody, unless you wanted to mod it yourself. So that's pretty impressive, I think. And of course, if you go to the low position, you're back to the 170 millimeter. All right, and still the 148 for your GPU with connectors. All right, just little things that they give you, and the nicest is they even tell you about, you know, in the little booklet, the guide here, they tell you all about that. They give you different dimensions. So if you're wondering, that's how you do it. All right. Now, one of the other things I want to mention, so you're just going to have to go back here to the other side. Again, I am going to get to the top. If you want to see it, you're going to have to wait. This has 2 screws. All right. So let me just see if I can see them. Yes. So there's 2 screws on the inside in here. So if you want to reposition that, they tell you that you can put it, I think it's on the front here. Let me just see. You can reposition it. So let me see where the other screw holes are. Yeah, all right. So you can take it from here and move it over if you wanted to do that. Seems to me there was another place as well on the back. Let me just check that. So they also show that you can take that fan hub, unscrew it from the inside there, and you could also put it in the back. So your screws would go in through the back here and fasten it on the inside, like right about here somewhere. All right, or however you want to position it. It gives you lots of flexibility for moving it around. So, you know, not everybody gives you that. And if you're having an issue with it or it's just not working, well, that gives you the ability to move things around a little bit. Now, there is one more thing I want to point out. You do have a screw right here. If you unscrew this, this attaches here, and then this whole thing can come down and if you just to help you work inside this area. So if you need room to work with your cables and all that kind of stuff, or maybe you don't even want that and just want to put it down back in here. I don't know if that would work, but in the interim, this right now will come off and let you at least move this around. All right, so just other little features. So that's a lot of features, and I haven't even got to the top yet. So let's get to the top of this case and have a better look around. Okay, so we're finally on to the front of the case. I gotta say, it's as impressive as the rest. Sometimes you're trying to, which holes line up for the 120 millimeter or 140 millimeter fans. It's labeled here, like it's actually ingrained. So you can see it, 120, 140, all right? This comes off. If you want to remove it for whatever reason, there's a couple screws and it comes off, and you can just go ahead and do that. I don't know why you'd want to, but it gives you the option to do it for whatever the reason is this. Now, this is where you have your power button and everything's nicely in gold. Does that not look slick or what? Your headphones, mic, separate. Your USB 3.0 and your USB Type-C. Very simplistic, and it looks just, they did a lot of time trying to figure out all this. And there's one more thing I haven't shown you yet. Just when you think it's all done, you discover something else. And that one thing else is, remember you had to take this and move it over for your hard drive cage? Well, guess what? They thought of that. Maybe you still want to use this. Invert it. In here on the back, and I'm just going to try and show that to you. Down on the bottom. I don't know if you can see that or not. Let's see here. Down on the bottom, there's 2 slots for you to go in, fit those in, and then tie it back up on the top here. And then you can still have your 2 hard drives, still have room for your power supply, and still have room for your RAD. And you're not having pieces left over that, even though it's nice they gave you, you can't use. Because I've had that in a lot of cases. Like, but seriously, this is not a cheap case. Let me point that out right away. It was not inexpensive. This is about 225 taxes in Canadian. All right. Not a cheap case by any means, but it's sleek, it's small, and wow, does it ever do the wow factor impressively. And wow, I don't think I missed anything. And they didn't give you all these extra pieces left over that you have to worry about, oh, what do I do with that? What's that for? It's simple to figure it out. And the user guide they gave you, if you can't figure it out, will help you. I've never ever had things so easy when it comes to reviewing a computer case before. If I was going to rate these, this would be my #1 case I've ever reviewed. Honestly, #1. The only thing that might take this down would be room for fitting stuff in. And that might have applied years ago, but today it really doesn't because you've got room for everything. The only thing it might have is maybe some of the really big graphics cards. You might struggle a little bit, but even then I don't think so. Because if you're not putting in a radiator, you've got the extra space in the front here. So, geez, I should actually get my 4070 and see if it fits. You know what? I'm going to do just that for you. Okay, so I took my 4070 out. It's a big 3-fan one, MSI, which I quite particularly like. And I have to slant it a little bit. But then you can see there's lots of room. I still think your radiator would even go in still. You're not going to have any problems. It's going to fit in there without any difficulty whatsoever. So, yeah, that's pretty impressive, actually. All right, everybody, so that's the video. That pretty much tells you everything you need to know to make a build-in, other than the fact that it looks so cool. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, that looks neat. But it really, really, the more you look at it, the more impressive it is. And then when you start going through it like I just did, and you see all the features and all the thought that's going into the design of this case, they've thought of everything. I'm pretty picky when it comes to cases in particular, especially when they're expensive, at least expensive to me. And the fact that this has everything I would want, plus some, plus it actually is thought of, oh, there's not a lot of room for the power supply cables. Let's give them some more by moving it on top. That's a simple thing that a lot of manufacturers should be doing. All right. So anyway, I hope you liked the video. I hope it showed you everything you need to know. If you have questions, put them in the comments down below. If you're new here, think about subscribing. Hit that bell for notifications to see videos in the future. And thanks for watching, as always. Hope you have a good one. See you next time.